This week, a group of House Republicans announced a new push to force a vote on immigration policy. Their pathway to making that happen, a maneuver known in Congress as a discharge petition. It's a procedural move that, if it's successful, would allow for a vote without the support of House leadership. This does not appear to be sitting well with House Speaker Paul Ryan.
Going down a path and having some kind of a spectacle on the floor that just results in a veto doesn't solve a problem. We actually would like to solve this problem, and that is why I think it's important for us to come up with a solution that the president can support.
Joining me now, one of the signatories of that discharge petition and a key force behind it, Republican Congressman Carlos Curbelo of Florida. Congressman, thanks so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it.
Kasie, good evening from Miami. It's good to be with you.
Let's start with what the House Speaker had to say. He spoke at some length earlier this week during his regular news conference, essentially saying that he does not agree with the tack that you are taking with your colleagues. Have you spoken to Speaker Paul Ryan, and what do you have to say in response to him?
The Speaker's a friend. We spoke numerous times right up until the point where we filed a discharge petition. And what I would tell him is that no one here is interested in a spectacle. We are interested in having a debate. We're actually interested in answering the president's call to action in September of last year when he challenged Congress to come up with a bipartisan solution to this immigration question in our country. Every time the immigration issue comes up, Congress, and if not Congress, the House, responds with paralysis. And we're tired of that. We want to have a debate. We want members to bring their bills to the floor. And by the way, this discharge petition process is probably the most constructive ever, because we're not bringing forward one bill. We're offering the opportunity for 4 bills to come to the floor, including one that's backed by immigration hardliners and another that would be drafted and filed by the Speaker of the House. So we're actually offering all members the opportunity to participate in this debate and to convince their colleagues. And yes, our goal is also to get a law passed. So we would like to pass something that the president can sign.
Congressman, how angry are you with House leadership for they have essentially chosen the views and path of the right wing of the House Republican Conference on this issue over those of you who are facing very tough races in suburban districts where you are facing voters who care about this issue and have different feelings?
Well, the most frustrating part is that the Speaker says that he wants a bill that the president will sign. But in order for the president to sign a bill, it needs to get to his desk. And that means it needs to pass the House and it needs to pass the Senate with 60 votes. The bill that they have invested, I would say wasted, months whipping is a bill that probably cannot pass the House, because if it could, it would have come to the floor already, and certainly cannot pass the Senate. So what I would argue, and I have argued to the Speaker, is let's get a bipartisan bill done. I think he's coming around on that. And the process that we have proposed offers him the opportunity to file such a bill that can get the president's support. And by the way, let's be clear here. The White House has put in paper a proposal that includes a path to citizenship for nearly 2 million young immigrants brought to this country as children. They're known commonly as dreamers. So the president, who is without question considered the most hardline public figure on immigration in this country, is at that position. The process that some of these House conservatives have proposed, or the bill, is completely divorced from what the White House has put forward.
I'm glad that you brought up the White House, because I also want to ask you, you say that the president is perceived to be one of the hardest line, but there are some people who work for him who are influencing his thinking, who we've seen potentially take an even harder line than the president. One of them is John Kelly. He made these comments earlier. Let's take a look, and then we'll talk about it.
Let me step back and tell you that the vast majority of the people that move illegally into the United States are not bad people. They're not criminals. They're not MS-13. But they're also not people that would easily assimilate into the United States. They're overwhelmingly rural people in the countries they come from. 4th, 5th, 6th grade educations are kind of the norm. They're coming here for a reason, and I sympathize with the reason. But the laws are the laws.
Congressman, in your view, should John Kelly clarify or perhaps apologize for making those comments about immigrants?
I think he should clarify. General Kelly lived here in Miami for 5 years. He knows what an immigrant community looks like. He knows that a lot of these immigrants who are in our country may not have college degrees, for example, but they do care for American children. They do care for older Americans who might be sick. They are fundamental to the lives of a lot of American families all over this country, not just in Miami. Now, General Kelly is right in saying that we should not promote illegal immigration, and he's also right in saying that most of these people are good people who want to work in our country. And by the way, something else that General Kelly said is that we should provide a path to citizenship for those under the protections of the TPS program, which I agree with him as well. So the point is, there's a lot of room to work together here. There's definitely an achievable compromise, and what we want is for Speaker Ryan to allow the House to work its will to build that compromise and to get it to the president's desk. We have been debating the immigration issue in this country, Kasie, for 12 years, since President Bush first proposed immigration reform in 2005, 2006. Let's get something done. We have nothing to show for this debate after 12 years.
Congressman Carlos Curbelo, thanks very much for your time. Looking forward to seeing you up on the Hill this week. I'm sure this will be very much in the focus in the coming days. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you, Kasie. Good night.